So welcome to this week's Messy Church, and we're going to start off with a challenge for you. I want you to think about how you could build the biggest bridge from stuff you can find in your house. So it might be that you've got a whole stack of Lego that you could create a bridge out of. It may be that you've got things in your food cupboard that you can use to build a bridge. And I've been going through my cupboard today. It could be really simple stuff. You could see how tall a pile of tins you could pile up and various things on top to create the top of your bridge. Or if you like doing things that are altogether a bit more tricky, you could do something like this. So I've got some nice sticky berries here, and they're going to be the feet of my bridge. I'm going to stick some bits of spaghetti into here. So I've got two bits there, but you know, a bit hopeless on the bridge front at the moment. So somehow I've got to try and bring those together. So I'm going to just stick another sticky berry there. Just try and wedge these down because then I think they'll be a bit more stable. And then I'm going to do another one. Oh no, I need another bit of spaghetti. The trouble with spaghetti, it breaks a bit easily. Let's see if I can get it roughly the same height again. So put that one over there. So put that in there. Stick that down. Now, can I create the bridge? This is the bit that requires concentration. Oh, now I need to be able to stick that into there. Will it stand up? I don't think it's going to be very strong. Oh no, a very strong bridge. I'll just reduce the size on that one as well. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can just take a little bit off that one. It might even be a wonky bridge as well as not a very strong bridge. I'm sure you can come up with good things to play with and work this out for yourself. So there we go, an altogether more fragile bridge. But I'm sure that you can come up with something better. And you might be able to produce or create a bridge out in your garden if you've got one. You might be able to use old cardboard boxes. You may have got bits of play equipment. And even when you're planning what you're going to have for tea, maybe you could come up with a bit of a bridge theme for that. Sausages, a mashed potato perhaps. I think that could be manoeuvred into a good bread shape. We'd love to see your photographs of your bridges on the Abbeydore Deanery Facebook page. Now, this week we're thinking about peace, and you might be wondering, well, why are we looking at bridges if we're thinking about peace? Well, just pause for a moment to think why we have bridges in the first place. People normally build bridges when they want to bring two things together that are divided by something else. If you imagine two sides of a riverbank, so people build a bridge over the riverbank, or two areas that are divided by a railway. Well, Jesus was sometimes described as a bridge because he was brilliant at bringing people together. People who felt that they didn't have anything in common with each other, people who felt that they didn't particularly like each other. In fact, the Bible describes Jesus as the Prince of Peace, and Jesus told his followers that they shouldn't hate their enemies, but they should love them, that they should try to remember that everybody is loved equally by God. And so when they look at somebody that they find difficult, they should try to remember that that person too is held in God's love and very precious to them. And perhaps if we can start to think that way, we may focus less on what divides us. So I've got a messy experiment for you this week to show how we might begin to break down those differences that might exist between people. So what you need is a bottle And some oil, can be any kind of a food-based oil. So just going to put a little bit in the bottom of there. And add some water. Now if you've got food colouring in your house, you might want to put a few drops of food colouring in there as well, because that will just exaggerate what we're looking at. But hopefully you'll be able to see that there's a real separation between the two things. The oil is sitting on top of the water. So I wonder how we can get those things to mix. Well, we could put the lid on the bottle and give it a really good shake. Surely that would work, because that's kind of what works with squash, doesn't it? You put your concentrate in and then add water and it all mixes together. And I wonder whether that might be the same for our oil and water. But I think you can probably already start to see that that's not the case. I gave that a really good shake and still the oil is sitting on top of the water. Now, when somebody tries to bring people together, tries to build on peace as Jesus did, they're a bit like adding this ingredient. And that's just a few drops of washing up liquid. We put a little bit of that in and then give it a shake. Let's see what happens. Now, obviously it'll get a bit frothy, so I mustn't shake it too hard. There we go. Now, what happens when we add the washing up liquid is that actually it acts on both the water and the oil, and it causes it to run together into what we call an emulsion. And so the difference between the oil and the water is far less noticeable. We were talking earlier about Jesus being the Prince of Peace and teaching his followers to be peacemakers as well. And he told them that if they were, they'd be truly blessed. Now, sometimes when people fall out around us, it's very easy for us to take sides. But Jesus teaches us that we shouldn't try to do that. In fact, we should be the people who try to bring peace between them. And we can do that by helping people to focus perhaps on what unites them rather than what divides them. We can do that by saying, well, you're both special to me, you're both important to me, even if you hold different views. And you might encourage them to talk about their differences and to be able to listen to one another, because perhaps if they can bring those things out into the open, some of their problems will fall away. Now, I'd like you to join me now in the International Prayer for Peace, and it's got some actions that we can try out together. So we start by praying, loving God, lead me from death to life, from falsehood to truth, from despair to hope, from fear to trust, from hate to love, from war to peace. And let that peace fill our hearts, fill our homes, and fill the whole world. Amen.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, every day, every day, in every way. I'm gonna let my little light every way. I'm gonna let my little light shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, every day, every day, in every way. I'm gonna let my little light shine. On a Monday,
He gave me the gift of love.
on a Tuesday,
His peace came down from above.
on a Wednesday,
He told me just what to say.
on a Thursday,
He taught me just how to pray.
on a Friday,
He gave me a little more faith.
on a Saturday,
He gave me a lot more grace.
on a Sunday.
He gave me the power divine.
To let my little light shine. This little light of mine,
Hallelujah.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Let it
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day,
Every day,
every day,
every day,
every day, in every way. I'm gonna let my little light shine. On a Monday,
He gave me the gift of love.
on a Tuesday,
His peace came down from above.
on a Wednesday, he told me just what to say. On a Thursday,
He taught me just how to pray.